G'day, Starlo here. I'm doing something today that always takes me back to my childhood. I think a lot of us started out catching fish like mullet on bread baits. I just love doing it. Even after all these years of fishing, I love coming back and doing this sort of fishing. And what I'm doing today is targeting mullet. I really enjoy catching mullet, and I also really enjoy eating them, both fresh and smoked, and I'm hoping to take home some mullet to eat. What I'm doing is I'm burleying with bread. I've got some stale bread that I've been saving up in my freezer for a couple of weeks, and I've got a loaf of nice, fresh, white sandwich bread that I'm going to use as my baits on the hooks. I've also got some pilchards and a prawn or two just to see what they like, and I'm starting to build my burley trail. Just little pieces of bread thrown in at regular intervals to build a ladder that will hopefully bring the fish close to the back of the boat. I've picked an area, it's quite shallow, it's about 1 metre deep here up on the sand flats, not too far from some oyster leases. There's a drop off out on the other side into about 2 or 3 metres of water, so I might even stick a live mullet out for bait if I get a smallish one. I hope they come. It'd be a lot of fun if they do.
Oh dear, stray feathers aside, this burleying method works really well. I like to crumble some of the drier bread slices between my hands to add a stream of floating crumbs to the trail. My rig's simple enough. It's a little size 8 or 10 hook tied to a very fine leader which is connected to a little swivel, and I'm running a small float supporting a couple of split shot on the baited hook.
So I basically just wrap the bread around the hook and then squeeze it particularly at the top where it's around the line and the top of the hook to make it stay on, but leave it a little bit less squeezed down around the hook point. And we'll lob that out there.
You need to keep your casts smooth and gentle to stop the bread from flying off the hook. That's plenty far enough, and I can let the rig drift back with the tide if necessary.
Oh, there's a little bite. The float just bobbed a couple of times. There it goes, it's gone under. Oh, missed him. I don't know if these are mullet. I suspect they might be small brim.
You can expect all sorts of bycatch when you burley with bread. Brim, garfish, blackfish, trevally, yellowtail, leatherjackets. Just about everything in the estuary will eat bread. But it's really important to keep that trail unbroken. Throwing some of the bread pieces up tide ahead of the boat gives me a bit of breathing space to bait up and cast. Let's get that rig back out there.
So a few swirls back there now. Still not the kind of aggressive feeding I would have liked to see. Keep the burley going. A little bit further back there's some better swirl. That looks more like mullet coming. Yes, there's mullet coming up the trail now. Really important to keep that burley trail unbroken. That was another reasonable bite. Definitely some mullet further back. I might have to shallow up a little bit with my rig, I think. I'll give it another couple of goes. It's good fun.
Another gentle lob and I'm back in business.
I've got the bail arm open and I'm just letting out line to let the float drift back at the same speed as the current and the pieces of bread so that it looks nice and natural. I'm a bit suspicious about the fact that I haven't had a bite. I wonder if I've been baited without seeing the float move. It looks like the bait's still on there. Yep. Will that bait survive another cast? Yeah, it should do.
Bread baits soften up with time in the water and become even more fragile, so keep those casts smooth.
You don't need to put loads of bread in. It's more important to keep the chain unbroken. Lots of small pieces at regular intervals rather than just dumping a whole bunch in there, because the tide's going to take it away. Oh, there's quite a lot of activity back there now. It is slowly starting to happen. It's taken about 20 minutes or so of burleying, and that's about how long you should give it before you think about changing spots. Why am I not? Oh, I did get a bite. I got him. I got him. What have I got? Oh, this is such light gear. I'm on a 3-pound leader here and that little hook, so I can't go too hard. It's not feeling like a mullet, I gotta say. I think it might be a little brim. Yep, that's what it is. And that can be annoying. And it's one of the reasons I said I might shallow up my rig a bit, bring the hook a bit closer to the float. You tend to get less bycatch in the form of things like brim. What a little cutie. Probably about 22 centimetres long. Well undersized. And I struck quickly so he wouldn't get deeply hooked. Right. Things are starting to happen. I'm sure that's not all brim back there. Surely there's got to be some mullet as well. Just wish they'd come a little bit closer to the boat.
They will. If you build it, they will come.
Ah, that's not a brim. That's what we're after. That's a mullet, I'm sure. Yep. Oh, they're great fighters. Especially on this light gear. Probably should net him, but even on the 3-pound, I'm pretty sure I can lift that. There we go. That's what I came for. That's a sand mullet, also known as a lano. And they're really tasty to eat. All right, I'll pop him in the live well. If I can get one a little bit smaller, I'll put him out for live bait. Okay, it might be starting to happen.
As it turns out, that was a bit of an understatement. Watch this.
Oh wow, it just absolutely nailed that. What have we got? Oh, how good is that? There was the tiniest bit of bait left, and I lobbed it out there and he just nailed it. Be a mullet, come on. Yes, it is a mullet. It's a good one too. He's an eater, this one. Pound for pound, or gram for gram. Oh, he's a really good mullet. I'm going to net this one.
I grab the net and stick the handle between my knees. You get pretty handy at this stuff when you fish on your own a lot.
That's a big mullet. No wonder he screamed off when I hooked him. I've got to keep the burley going while I'm fighting this fish. I don't want to break the trail, especially now that we're getting some good ones in here. Wow, sand mullet don't get much bigger than that. Oh, this little rod, so much fun. That is a huge sand mullet. That might be my PB. Or is it a bully? That's what it is. I think it's a little bully mullet. No. Oh, what? It's not a flat tail. It's got to be a big sand mullet. That is a cracker. I'll measure that one. I don't think I've ever caught them bigger than that. Wow. I might be putting him out for live bait. That one is definitely coming home for dinner.
And it wasn't the last one either. They were feeding quite well now as the burley did its job.
Yes. Getting into them now. It's a lot smaller, this one. Nah, that might be my live bait. Still give a good account of themselves, even at that size. That's a bit more like it. I might put that one out live in a minute.
And from there on, they kept coming fairly regularly, mostly in the smaller sizes. Always be aware of the current bag and size limits for different species in your jurisdiction. And remember, it does vary quite a bit between states.
Oh yes, that's the one for bait. All right, I might go and put that out in a minute.
I've chosen a bass weight baitcaster outfit to run my live bait on. It's a 150 size reel on a medium weight rod. My favourite rig for this consists of two hooks. I've got about a 5/0 single up front ahead of a trailing treble hook stinger attached to my 30-pound mono leader, 50 centimetres or so to a swivel with a 30 or 40 gram bean sinker running on a rod length of 20-pound mono.
All right, so I've moved out into about 3 to 5 metres of water just out from where I was catching those mullet. And I've put the smallest one that I've got on that rig. It's really important when you rig them up to make sure the fish can still breathe. I've gone lightly through both lips, and then I've just lightly snicked the treble hook back in here. But this is really important. This bit of line between the single hook and the treble must have some slack in it. If it's tight, it'll bend the bait, make it spin in the water, drown it. It just doesn't work very well. All right, I'll make sure he's swimming okay. Yes, he is. He's nice and active. I'll flick it out there. I'm on the electric motor, and what I'm going to do is just move along here slowly with this bait. I've got a sinker on there, as I showed you. It'll keep it down in the water. It won't necessarily keep it right on the bottom. And I'm marking a little bit of bait on the sounder. I'll just mosey along here and see if something eats this live bait. This is pretty exciting. Not a great time of the day. It's about 10:30, quarter to 11 in the morning. Pretty bright sky. There's a fair bit of boat traffic around, so I'm not overly hopeful about getting a mulloway, although I know there's some in the system at the moment. But I might get a big flathead. We'll see what happens.
You've got to be in it to win it. I better set that drag.
So I've got my bait caster in free spool. But if it gets taken, that bait, I won't give it overly long for the fish to get it down. The nice thing about running that stinger is that I can hit it fairly quickly. And that means I should hook it in the mouth. So if I want to let the fish go, I can. I'm not a big fan of allowing fish to run forever with baits. There's all sorts of old theories amongst mulloway specialists about how far you let them run, and they stop and they scale the fish in their gill rakers and then they swallow it. I don't know. I think predators just grab things and eat them if they can. Sure, they'll try and turn them around in their mouth so they can swallow them head first, and they may fumble them around a little bit, and a lot of mulloway do get missed on bait. But I don't necessarily think it's because people haven't let them run far enough with it. I can feel that mullet kicking along down there. Ooh, there's a couple of nice targets on the sounder. A couple of very good targets on the sounder. Don't mind the look of that at all. That could easily be a dewy or two down on the bottom, but whether they're going to bite at this time of the day and with this much boat traffic, we'll see. It's a sunny Sunday, so you've got to accept that there's going to be other people out enjoying themselves, and good on them. I'll just keep my thumb lightly on the baitcaster in case it gets whacked really hard. I don't want to backlash this 15-pound braid. That would not be good. Another nice little patch of bait down there. A bit of life out here. Not completely wasting my time, I don't think. Change of tide too, which is a good time. This mullet's quite active. He's kicking away down there. And quite often, if they're about to get eaten, they'll get really active. It's a bit of a tip-off that you're about to get a take. I'd say that sinker is just bumping along the bottom every now and again, and the mullet's probably swimming just up 40 centimetres above it. Prime spot. We're out into about 6.5, 7 metres of water now. Ooh, 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 ooh. The mullet just got really, really nervous then. Something nasty might have looked at him. He certainly started kicking and carrying on. Bit of boat wake from passing boats. Like I said, it's fairly busy out here. Just straighten the boat up. Well, not much is happening, and I guess I would have been surprised if it did. Like I said, not a great time of the day. Might be time to head in and have some lunch. It was a great little session on the mullet though. I've got a few to eat and a couple to freeze for bait. And it was worth putting the livey out for a while, you never know. Don't overlook that berleying with bread and fishing with a float. You catch all sorts of stuff, garfish, mullet. Down south you'll get your Tommy rough. It's a really good fun way to fish. It's how a lot of us started our fishing, and I still get a real buzz out of it. Listen, if you enjoyed this one, make sure you give me a like down below, and if you don't already subscribe to the channel, please consider doing so. It really helps.
I've just realised how hungry I am.
The fish might not be biting, but the worms are. Oh, hang on. Something is going on.
Could it be?
Oh yeah, there's a bit of weight there. Like I said, I won't give it long. No. What's going on?
False alarm, I think. Or maybe wishful thinking. But that was it. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, I reckon you might also like these other episodes. Check them out. And until next time, it's tight lines from old Feathery. Catch you later.